Are you trying to pour from an empty cup or feel like some days you're just barely surviving? We should talk. Hello and welcome to the Unashamedly You podcast, a space to enlighten, encourage, and empower you to go out and unashamedly be who God is calling you to be. I am your host, Jamie Herndon. I pray you hear less of me and more of Him as you listen to today's episode. Let's grow together. I am so excited to be bringing you all an amazing lady to share on the Unashamedly You podcast today. So you may know her for her insanely talented singing and heard her and her husband's new song, He's in the Room, where she absolutely blows it away, you guys. If you have not downloaded that song, go and look it up right now. But you can also find her on her own podcast called We Should Talk. But she's actually been diving into a topic I feel is so important. And I've asked her to come on here and share some of that with us today. But first, let's get to know a little more of who she is. So thank you so much, Bethany Jennings, for agreeing to join us today. Take a moment and introduce yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Bethany Jennings. I am me. I find it very hard to be anything other than that. I don't have a whole lot of time for pretense because I don't particularly like having to dig through layers and layers and layers. I like authenticity, really I do. And I'm sure you'll hear that in the rest of today's podcast. I am a wife to David Jennings. Yes, he does have a wife. Some people don't realize that, but he does have a wife. That's a really fun topic. We'll get into that later, maybe. I am a mother to Onyx Solomon, and we have a baby Heavenside, and I am 34 weeks pregnant today with Silas Maximus. So that takes up a lot of time. I also am a student. I just love learning. Not enrolled in any college or, master classes or anything right now, though we're considering it. But I have studied accounting and psychology. I'm also a certified special education teacher. I have worked in a few areas just because of my broad spectrum of education and interest. I've worked at mental health facilities. I have worked as a church secretary. I currently work as our worship director. Along with my husband, I have worked at obviously public schools on the academic portion of special education. I have worked in behavioral units for early childhood through fifth grade. I've done a lot of things. We have a music school, so I still teach. I resigned my position at the public school the summer after I had Onyx because I felt a shift in the seasons, and I'm learning to listen to the shift in seasons. I'm not a pro yet, but the Lord's working on me. So I just am who I am, and who I am can sometimes be a lot, and I'm aware of that, and that's okay.
Well, we are so delighted to have you as yourself and all your authenticity here on the podcast. And I think that's why people love you. And we love to follow you on social and in your podcast because you are so real. But today we are going to talk about a topic that, most people consider taboo or they don't want to discuss. It's hush hush. But you've been really loud about this topic. And I have sensed not only do you have a passion for this topic that we are going to dive into today, but I sense the burden and I feel that through your social media post and through your podcast that you've talked about this topic on. And so that's why I wanted to bring it to Unashamedly You community and for us to discuss it and to dive into it. And that is mental health. So like I mentioned, you're passionate. I can feel the burden for it. Is there a reason or something that's went on in the background that has made you feel so passionate and to be so open, which is very needed on the topic of mental health?
Yeah. So I grew up in a ministry home. Um, Ministry is all about service to others, right? We all know it's more than a platform with a microphone. It's about service to others. Um, I remember, I don't know, I was younger than 10, and we had a family in our church whose uh, the father of that home committed suicide, and he had a lifelong struggle with depression, and that was something generational that he dealt with. And I remember knowing at that age he needed help and he didn't get it. And I remember holding his daughter. She was 4, maybe 5. I remember holding, maybe, I don't even know if she's that old. I remember holding her while my parents dealt with the mom and helped her through what she needed. And when you're in a pastor's family, it's the whole family on board. I don't think PKs get enough credit for everything that they have to do and learn and mature and very quickly. I remember holding her and helping her get her mind off of everything that had happened, and thinking then, this this family needs help, and I don't think everybody knows how to help them. Then I fast forward a little bit. I was in 6th grade, little baby Bethany in 6th grade, and I was asked to be a part of a peer mentoring group, which I don't even know if they'd allow today. I make myself sound ancient, but I don't even know if they'd allow that today. Where students who had conflict or issues could go to a peer mediator, really is what it was, more than mentoring, a peer mediator, and you could talk through your issue. Like you would go to counseling with a peer as opposed to going directly to punishment in a principal's office. And I remember one specific person who is still in our small town now, who was raised in a very abusive and chaotic home. And when he would start melting, the teacher would say, "It's okay, Bethany, you can go talk to him." And she would let me go calm him down and get him back in the classroom. And I knew in that moment in 6th grade that I have an ability to help people and to understand and sympathize with people in a way that I don't think everybody else gets. And I didn't understand why other people didn't get it, because for me, while I have done the studying and the educational side of it, it's God given in a lot of ways, right? The root of that is God given, and He's blessed me with people and guidance to nurture that to where it is now. So yeah, that's the beginning of it for me, is seeing people that need help, and obviously spiritual help is a part of that, but there is a step that goes with that, not beyond that, above that, below that, but goes with that. And when you have a firm foundation in your spiritual beliefs, studying psychology will not contradict it, it will confirm it.
I love that. A lot of people, I feel like they think it's one or the other.
Mm-mm.
And whenever you have God, He works all things together for the good. He's going to
Exactly.
help you with everything else is going to fall right into line. And also that you said it's God given. Unashamedly You is all about walking in your calling unashamedly. It is about that not everybody's going to have the same calling, and we don't all want the same calling. We can't all handle the same calling, and God doesn't need every single person to be one thing. He
How
needs
boring would
the
that be? Ugh.
he needs the body of Christ, and we're all a part of the body. And there's no doubt that, like I said, just following you, listening to what you have said through mental health has been something that I have seen. I'm like, this is a calling, this is a burden, this is something that is on her, a gift. And we can all see that. And so for you to dive into it. So personally, I have dealt with mental health and anxiety. I didn't know exactly what it was. Oh man, it was a struggle. I thought I was having heart attacks. Like it was very frustrating and it was very scary, all the things that had happened before with that. But the Lord healed me. And I know that He can heal of all manner of sickness and diseases, and mental health goes right along with that. But as a mom and as a Christian, as a woman, I think, I don't know, maybe this is just me. I think maybe sometimes women struggle more with this, or maybe we're just more because we're more emotional creatures, but maybe we're just more open with the fact that we have emotional issues and things that go on. But what is something that, as a woman that may be going through something mental health wise, that you could tell them today?
Um, ask for help if you need it. I know that's really scary, but you need to communicate what you need. People aren't going to know to help you or how to help you until you ask for help. And that's really scary because it's not just like, oh, I broke my arm, right? It's like, I feel like something is broken in my mind. And it's so abstract as compared to fixing a bone. And it means that even more vulnerability is coming when you get the help. But you have to ask for help. I will say, um, your husband, if you are married, your husband, your spouse should be your number one stop, because scripture says when you're married, you're one flesh. So what you are feeling, he's probably already feeling, but he has no idea how to help you until you communicate it. And so being willing to say, and I've had to tell David, I am not okay. I'm not okay. I need help. I'm not okay. And he does his absolute best to step up and be that help. Um, I will say, as far as not just the motherhood side of things, but you have to manage your energy. And I don't mean like vibes and your energy. That's not what I mean. Like your literal energy, right? And this is going to sound very basic, but you need to eat. We tend to eat what's convenient because we're in our, I have done this since Onyx for sure, because I'm constantly chasing him around. We tend to eat what's convenient, so you have to make good options convenient, because your nutrition and your health matters, right? Make the good options convenient and you're going to eat the good options, period. Yes, your kids need to eat. Yes, your husband needs to eat. So do you. I understand now more than ever why in Goldilocks, the dad's porridge was too hot and the baby's porridge was just right. And the mom's porridge was cold. I understand that now more than ever. And it's because we're busy taking care of other people. We just are. But we take care of other people's needs. But when we are depleted, we don't have what we need to take care of other people's needs. Vitamins and sunshine over caffeine and uppers. I am not anti-medication when it's needed and merited. I know different people have different beliefs, so I won't get really into it. But I'm not anti-medication for any organ, be it your heart, your liver, your lungs, your eyes, or chemicals in your brain. But there is literal, actual, factual science to support the evidence of the energy and healing properties of being outside. Whether it's your feet in the grass, just soaking up the sunshine, hanging out by a tree. And this sounds like psycho hippie level, but there's actual scientific studies done on this. Fresh air and sunshine, grass under your bare feet, it will energize you and it'll wear your kids out. That's the place, right? You get the option of killing two birds with one stone. Killing birds with stones. That's what David and I say. Kill birds with stones. And I know a lot of times we're like, I can't go outside. I can't. I'm gonna melt. Well, there are options, friends. There are options. And mosquitoes, deep Southeast Texas, our mosquitoes are built different down here. They will carry you away. But you know what I heard the other day? This is random. Bubbles keep mosquitoes away. So get a bubble machine. Your kids will love it, and the mosquitoes will hate it, and everybody goes home happy. Make sure you take your vitamins. I mean, that's pretty straightforward, right? You have to take care of yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. That's not just talking to the minister in the pulpit. That's not just talking to the worship leader or the musician that plays every service. If your cup's empty, you got nothing. And your family should be your first priority. Last time I checked, I am a part of my family. I need to take care of me. Another way to maintain your energy, manage your energy, do not waste energy on negativity. Don't hang out there. I'm not saying you're not going to have negative thoughts. I'm not saying you're not going to get frustrated, but you don't have to hang out there and waste time there, right? A bird can fly over your head. Don't let them make a nest. Don't take negativity from yourself. Don't take negativity from others. Don't talk bad about your kid's mom. Don't talk bad about your husband's wife. The mirror doesn't always tell the full truth. Because I'm going to be honest with you. I talked to you about the very strict mom bun policy in my house. Unless this hair has to be fixed to go out that door, I'm mom bun all day. Especially right now, because I'm just hot all the time being 34 weeks pregnant. But the mirror doesn't tell the full truth. Your beauty is not always visible on the outside. Your beauty is what you give and offer to your family. Don't waste time with people who are one-uppers or people who are Debbie Downers. Because let me tell you, I love to study people and I love all people. But I don't like everybody. And that's okay. And you don't have to like everybody either. Jesus didn't even like everybody. He loved everybody. But he called out some Pharisees and said, I don't like what they're doing. Right? And I'm not Jesus. I'm just trying to be like him. I'm not even him. So it's okay for you to not like being around everybody. Because there are one-uppers like, oh, Onyx started walking. And this other mom was like, well, my kid started writing. I'm like, your kid's 2 minutes old. Calm down. Right? So there's always going to be one-uppers. But there's also Debbie Downers like, well, he's already walking. He didn't crawl. He's not going to have any upper body strength. And he's not going to, like, y'all people wear me out. My kid's just developing. Leave me alone. Leave him alone. You know what I mean? So you don't have to stay around people. And it's not like you have to be rude. There's never an excuse to be rude. But that doesn't mean you got to go around them all the time. So don't waste your time with them. And don't compare yourself to others. Comparison is the thief of joy, period. And we can do that with people. We had a lot of births around Onyx's birth time. And so I could spend a lot of time comparing my kid to other kids, but I just ain't got time. I'm busy raising him. But you can do that with people that you know, but you can also do that with people that you see on social media. You can follow, and with good intentions, follow different pages on Instagram or Facebook that are like mom hacks and inspirational parenting options. But that doesn't mean that that's going to work for you, right? And what you see, even on those I'm the best mom in the world pages, is a snippet of what's actually happening in that kid's life, right? In that mom's life. So don't compare yourself to others. And we got to stop with the mom guilt. We got to stop.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's touch on that, on mom guilt, because a lot of times guilt, like you said, comparison's the thief of joy. And we're comparing our whole life to someone on social media that we have absolutely no idea what's going on. I feel like there recently was someone that is, motivational speaker. He and his wife and everything was happy on social media, or so it seemed. And then they get this, it was a huge known divorce because they're on social media with it. And then he's recently had passed and, watching all these different things. And after he passed, first it was saying he passed from certain things. And then now it's come out that he overdosed. And I was talking to my husband about it. And I said, what is so crazy to me is we watch certain things. And by we, I'm talking about myself I see certain things on social media and I'm like, I've allowed him and his wife, and they're motivational and they've got all these good words and these good thoughts and these good things to pour into me because I'm spending time watching them. And I have no idea the guy is a drug addict.
Yeah.
And so we see these things. I said, this has just been a huge light bulb in my mind and in my thought process is we have no idea what we're really following, what's really coming into our home, what's really coming into our phones. And we see these things on social media and we're allowing ourselves to compare ourselves to people that we wouldn't even really be friends with.
Yeah. Yeah. If you really knew that person in real life, who they really are, you would not be friends with them. And I think a lot of times what we do is we let people like that, pages like that, feed us. It's called a feed for a reason. We let that feed us what we're supposed to be. Well, last time I checked, scripture is supposed to be our daily bread. That should be feeding us what is expected of us through Christ. And we make those people our source of inspiration, our source of strength, our source of, that's not biblical. Not, God can let other things inspire you, my goodness. But he's supposed to be the source of strength, right? He's supposed to be the strength of our life. He's the one that's supposed to be fulfilling that role. And when we let other people do that more than he does that, we've just made an idol. Anything that you give more attention and time to and merit to than God and his word, who, kind of the same thing, meaning his word works with God's word. I mean, this is basic doctrine here. I know we're talking about mental health, but it's fine. When we replace that, we have made an idol. And our idols may not be covered in gold, but they're covered in filters on Instagram.
And then we turn around and we allow this mom guilt, and then things start getting in our head. Or, you know what? Not even just mom guilt. There's business guilt. You're not as far along as they are. Or there's, home guilt. There's a lot of things that we have, our house isn't as nice, and we're comparing ourselves among ourselves, which is already wrong to do. God calls it out. And it's wrong. And we're doing this through social media. We're doing this, among other people. And we're seeing just these small snippet parts. And then it's affecting our mental health. And it's affecting how we feel.
You feel like you can't keep up. Well, the reason you can't keep up is they've rigged the race. They're not showing you the whole race. They're not showing you all the times they trip up. Who puts that on social media? Not the influencers, right? So mom guilt, it's a real thing. Human guilt, humaning guilt is a real thing. But I put mom guilt on myself in the beginning, and that's something that I've really had to work through, because I've always been go, 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 do, like I have a schedule, I have a checklist, and for me to just sit down in the floor and play with Onyx and just spend time holding him, I felt like I should be scheduling something in PCO. I should be making sure those resources are in there. I should be making sure rehearsal's ready to go. I need to clean this house. I can get to PCO. It'll get there. I can get to my responsibilities at the church. I can get to not making my house look like a pigsty. I can get there. But my baby, I'm not going to have this minute back with him. This moment will not last forever with him. So I would sit with him and I'd feel guilty, or I'd go do things and then I'd feel guilty. It's all about balance. And as long as you're doing what you can, you're doing enough. And there's been a couple times where David's had to say, babe, our house isn't going anywhere. You can just sit and be with Onyx for a minute. But why do you have to clean right now? I said, because I don't want my house to be filthy. And he said, I think we're okay. It's lived in, but it's not exactly growing hair. It can wait. So we do that to ourselves sometimes. And sometimes it is social media. You know what it is sometimes? Proverbs 31 is what it is sometimes. Because we think we have to be all this in and of ourselves. And we can't be all this in and of ourselves. The woman in Proverbs 31 was real great, but she also had some help, right? From above, and I'm assuming from a spouse. So that's managing your energy. And the other thing, go to sleep. Go to sleep. We think, okay, once the kids are down, I got to do everything on this to-do list that I didn't get to do yet. No, you don't. It'll be there. But this is the other thing. Don't not do the things on your list, but go to bed and scroll your phone for an hour. Go to sleep. Again, multiple studies that show having a screen in your face replaces the use of happy chemicals in your brain to calm you down. That's why the kids freaking out having a tantrum, you give them a phone, poof, they shut up, because it replaces the oxytocin in the brain. And so they don't get a chance to learn how to produce that self-soothing skill, right? Instead of you offering, even it's gonna, I know baby talk is not my favorite, but you talking to them in a kind voice when they're losing their mind helps their brain go, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Here comes the oxytocin. I can manage this. I can manage this. Same thing for adults. When we put a screen in front of our face, we disassociate. We forget everything we need to do. We forget where we're at. We're like, oh, was that my kid screaming? Oh, I was doing the laundry. Oh, right? Because we completely disassociate because our brain is sucked into a screen. When you go to bed and you're looking at the screen instead of closing your eyes and going to sleep, you rob tomorrow of productivity. And I know there's this movement of you deserve scroll time. Sure, whatever. Take your scroll time. Schedule it in, but take your scroll time. But you also deserve a house that is livable. You also deserve sleep and rest. You feel like if I don't complete the task, then I don't deserve sleep. Sleep is not a privilege. It's not a reward. It is priority. It is a necessity. And I am preaching to the choir. I know. I have done this. I'm like, well, once I get all this done, I'll sleep. No, you got to sleep to get it all done. We got it backwards. We got it flipped. So take care of yourself. Manage that energy. Don't hang around negative people. Make sure you're eating. Choose sunshine and vitamins over trash uppers and caffeine. No, as I hold this cup of coffee. Noted. But that's not the only thing that keeps me going, right? I'm not saying don't do caffeine. If you don't believe in caffeine, that's your own business. Your girl believes in caffeine. But you have to make choices that line up with managing and maintaining the energy you need to be a mom. The other thing I would say is schedule. Schedule things. I schedule because I love. So I've done this for a long time. So I was a double major at university. I was a double major, and I was working jobs here at the church and other jobs, and I started dating David somewhere in the middle of that. And I remember telling David, look, I am so busy during the day. You can get like sprinkles of me throughout the day, but you're not getting the whole cake until 11. Like, it's just not happening. And he was like, can I have both? I was like, yeah, you can have both, but just know I can't give you my full attention. And so I scheduled it in, because even until I was married, and I got married at 27. Wait, was it 27? Yes, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, even until I got married, like my cutoff time was 12. I'm not talking past that. I'm not out of the house past that. I was very accountable because accusations are real. So I would say 11 to 12 is our time. I'm not going to be distracted. I'm not going to be doing other things. And I told my dad that, and he was like, well, Bethany, I don't think little boys like to be scheduled in. And I was like, if he wants to talk to me, he will be scheduled in.
I love it.
And he's fine with it. You have to schedule. If I don't schedule, it doesn't get done. Schedule the vitamins. Because first of all, you need to be reminded to do it. But when you mark something off the to-do list, your brain's like, you're a rock star. And so it gets those happy hormones going, those happy chemicals going really early in the morning. Schedule medical appointments for yourself and your kids at the same time. Bring your husband along for the ride. Get all the kids taken care of. He can go with the kids somewhere. You get your medical appointment taken care of. Because I have found that when you don't take care of yourself physically and medically, mentally, you're shot before you begin. And there have been times that a blood panel has stolen the victory of the devil. Because you do a blood panel, it's like, actually, your thyroid's dying. That's what happened with me. I was having like, my chest was getting tight, my face was going numb, I couldn't breathe, my lips were turning purple. And it was because one part of my thyroid just wasn't working no more. And it affected hormones and body levels and my ability to process and breathe. And it felt like an anxiety attack. It felt like I was having congestive heart failure. It was crazy. But I went and got the work done. I said, okay, this is what's going on. I know of one lady, and she has ministered this multiple places. She had iron deficiency, and thought she was in mass depression. But it was the same symptoms, but totally fixable when you take care of yourself. The devil don't want us taking care of ourselves. And our subculture has told us to take care of yourself is ungodly because it's self-serving. Your motive is what determines that. If you're taking care of yourself so that you can take care of others, so that you can be useful in the kingdom, that's very different than you just saying, well, I need all this time for me, and you invested none of that in other people. I know that I have to take care of my babies. I know that I need to be a good wife for my husband. And if I'm not taking care of myself, I don't get to do that. It's not, again, back to the guilt. Don't feel guilty for taking care of the temple that the Lord gave you. They were mandated to take care of that temple. Remember when the woman was thrown down in adultery, and he was like, if you ain't got a sin, then you can cast a stone. I'm paraphrasing because I don't think you talk like that, but you know what I mean. But he reaches down and he writes something in the dirt. Well, she was already in the temple, technically. If you read through it, she was already in there. So when he was, I don't know what he wrote to her, nobody does, but he was telling the people that were trying to cast the stones, he's like, you're so worried about her. When's the last time you cleaned your own house? We are responsible to take care of our temple. That's physically, spiritually, mentally. Schedule it out. Your schedule may not have specific times. That's fine, because life happens. Move it to the next day. But while you're scheduling, you need to schedule in quiet time. You have to do it. I wake up usually 2-ish hours before the boys wake up so that I have quiet time. Because if I don't get quiet time, nobody gets quiet time that day. And I know this about myself. So your quiet time may not be first thing in the morning. Maybe your quiet time is when the kids go down for a nap, or when everyone's in bed, you actually take that quiet time, not to scroll, but for spiritual development, for self-improvement. Use the do not disturb function on your phone. It is beautiful. I have multiple do not disturb functions. My husband can always reach me no matter. My mom can reach me on all but one setting. Other than I'm not stressing. I'll be there. The problems will be there when my phone's put back on disturb me mode. The do not disturb mode, I do think that was made by God. So that you can take time to just be and take that quiet time, not to do things, but just to be. We're so busy trying to earn our merit and earn the title of the greatest mom, and do all the things a mother should do and do all the things a wife should do. You just have to be. The Bible doesn't say do perfect things. It says be perfect. Work on being perfect. Just be. It's all you have to do is be. So that's what I would say. I know I kind of trailed off there, but
I love that. Whenever you were talking about your body as a temple, and I looked up 1 Corinthians 6:19, and it says, or do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit within you, whom you have from God? You are not your own. And when we realize we're not our own, our body is God's, it's his temple. And we're not our own. We don't own ourselves. We are supposed to be taking care. When we take care of ourselves, we're taking care of God. It's biblical that we take care of our temple, because our temples are God's. This is taking care of something that God owns. We're not our own. And knowing that mentally, how we feel and how we have poured into ourselves is one way that you can give to God. It's one way you can glorify him, is by taking care of yourself. But so many times we don't think of it as ourselves. We think of, how can we pour into other people? What can we do for our family? What can we do for the church? And we forget that taking care of ourselves is also in that.
Sometimes we are others. Sometimes the best help you can give the people around you is to help yourself. And whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, the best help you can give your family is to make sure you're taken care of. And here's the thing. Scripture says, put the Lord first, love your neighbor as yourself. But if you take care of those two, you love God and you love people, you're fine. The rest is going to take care of itself. Well, when it says love your neighbor as yourself, love other people the way you love yourself, it's hard to love other people as you love yourself when you don't love yourself. You don't take care of yourself, how are you going to take care of them people? If you have no basis, like this is the bare minimum of how I should be loving people, and your bare minimum is way down here because you don't love yourself. You don't love yourself enough to take care of yourself. You don't love the creation that God's made enough to take care of yourself. God made your brain and all those chemicals in it, just like he made your heart and your legs, and your lungs, and your stomach. He made all of you. So be aware that you need to love all of you, right? We need to love as he loves. He loves every bit of you, even the parts that you're pretty sure are full on crazy. He loves them. And he's there for you. You got to go to him. The thing is, like I said at the beginning, it's not that spiritual health and mental health are one's above the other, one's under the other. They are side by side. You can come to church and pray and speak in tongues and be refreshed in the Holy Ghost, and your mind still struggle because you're not taking care of the things you need to. It's easier for me to get a touch from the Lord when my mind's not in 400 places. You want God's attention? Give him your attention. But it's hard to do that when you've let your mind be completely scattered and unmanaged and not taken care of. You have to take care of your mind, your heart, right? What we do flows from it.
I've never heard it where most of the time people say, love your neighbor as yourself. And you always think of, like, because you love yourself so much, you need to love them so much. But I've never heard that before, where if you're not loving yourself, if you're loving your neighbor the same way, you're not able to love them either.
You're not.
It's
It's
hand
a
in
fake
hand
love.
and connection. That is so good. You have done absolutely amazing with all that you have said today. Has just been so good. And I'm thankful that you've stepped on here. I know that so many people have been so blessed by you taking your time out of your busy schedule and speaking to us here on the Unashamedly You podcast. If there's one thing that you would leave to our community of ladies, what would it be?
Quit worrying about people. That's where we're at. Love them, but you can't pour all of your energy and brain power into worrying about people. You pray for them and you love them, and you focus on the circle God has given you to influence. That the biggest circle of influence you have is your home. Your husband's the priest. You're the keeper. Keep your home. And it's going to sound a little bad, but the rest, it can go away. You take care of your home, your circle of influence. Pray for them. God will take care of the rest. And I hate it when people say, oh, just pray. What you mean just pray? we have to pray to breathe. We have to pray to sustain ourselves as Christians. That's the most powerful thing you can do. It's not just pray for them. Praying is the best thing you can do for them. So quit worrying about people. Worry about yourself.
So good. Thank you so much, Bethany, for being on here and for pouring into us and leaving such words of wisdom. We are forever grateful.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Unashamedly You podcast. Don't forget The Unashamedly You conference is only 126 days away, but who's counting? Get your tickets soon. Space is very limited this year and it will sell out. We ask if this podcast blessed you in any way. Please go share it to your social media, leave a review, and subscribe so that you get the notification every Friday when our new episode releases. This community is absolutely amazing. Thank you for all that you do for the kingdom. Go be unashamedly you.